I wasn't even sure if I was gonna do NaNoWriMo this year because I have like just a ton of other priorities and goals that I'm working towards. And then I thought, well, I could document my journey prepping and partaking in NaNoWriMo. But then I came across some things, and NaNoWriMo as an organization is in quite a bit of hot water. So I've kind of had to restructure how I view these videos that I'm going to be making and how I approach my prep and what I'm prepping for. Because now I'm not technically prepping for NaNoWriMo. And if you want to know what's going on with NaNoWriMo, I am not the person to come to about that because I know very little. I just know that they're in some hot water with their stance on AI. So if you want to learn what that's all about, there are plenty of other YouTubers who are covering that way more detailed than I ever could. So I guess I'm not doing Nano this year, but I'm still going to do these vlogs just under a different mindset. Also, hello, welcome to my first vlog ever. Do people call them vlogs or vlogs? I'm on the fence about which one is the canonical way people say it, just like GIF and GIF. I still don't know the proper pronunciation of that term. But anyways, this isn't the normal content I typically cover on my channel. When the plethora of YouTube advice told me to niche down, I decided to niche up. So I've got like lots of arts and craft type content, some video game content, and now I'm going to be doing some writing vlogs because I can't make up my mind of what I want to cover on my channel. And in my mind, these all connect because it is how I am expressing myself creatively. And that's kind of like the biggest thing I want out of my YouTube channel is just like documenting my creative exploits, I guess is the best way to say that. And one of the things I'm most passionate about is writing, and I haven't covered that on my channel at all. And that actually feels kind of wrong because I'm so passionate about writing. This is kind of me diving into the vlog scene and the writing scene all at once. These videos were originally going to be how I prep for NaNoWriMo this year. Now that I'm not doing that, this is going to be more of how I'm prepping to tackle my third draft. Can you believe it? Third draft of the young adult fantasy novel that I've been working on since. One moment, I need to see when I wrote my first draft of this. Okay, so I've been working on this book since 2021. I wrote the first half of my first draft, so about 50,000-ish words, in about a month. This was before I was like really tracking my progress. And then the second half, I did the 60-day novel writing challenge, which I love. I'm not sponsored by them by any means, but I do love them, and I probably will talk about them a lot. It's by a local author that I know who put this together. I'll link her stuff down below in case anyone else is interested. But so when I wrote the second half, I wrote another over 50,000 words in a month, which is why I'm okay not doing Nano, because I've done Nano twice, and each time I've like well past the 50,000 word mark. Not to like brag or anything, I'm just saying like I know I can write 50,000 to 60,000 words in a month, so I actually don't feel like I need that challenge at this current stage in my drafting process. And not stressing about writing a certain amount of words per day is actually gonna take a lot of stress off of me and my busy schedule. So I think I'm like a little all over the place. I'm trying not to script my YouTube videos. This is a wild thing that I'm trying. I feel so much more like discombobulated when I don't script them, but I want to sound more authentic and like myself. So I'm not scripting this. So today's video is going to be focusing on prepping for draft 3 of my young adult fantasy novel on like a really more holistic level. I don't know if I'm gonna be giving any like specific writing advice. I mean, it'll be sprinkled here and there, I'm sure. This is kind of more a holistic, like mental, emotional, physical, spatial, digital, I don't know, digital lowdown of how I'm prepping for my next draft. So if that's something you are interested in, please stick around. Let's go ahead and get into some of the things that I am doing to prep for draft 3 of this book. First and foremost, I need a clean space. I need a decluttered space, and I need a decluttered mind. So I went through and started to declutter and organize and clean up my main writing spaces. Full disclosure, I do work full time, but sometimes I have a lot of spare time where I don't have anything to do. So I work on my book. So cleaned up that area, and then I need to, I don't know what it is. This table, my kitchen table, for the life of me, I cannot keep it clean. I don't know why. I clear it off like every 2 weeks, and then 2 days later, it's full of stuff again. I don't know where the gremlins are coming from that are putting all of this on my table, but it's not me. I certainly am not to blame for the state of this table. That is, obviously false. So this mess is just several weeks worth of mail that I need to sort and file away. Yeah, so I started doing that and lost steam for doing that very quickly. I will finish it before I dive into rewriting my draft. I also want a clean kitchen counter so that I can cook meals with less stress. This is another area that is really hard to keep clean consistently, but before I go into a big writing project, I definitely want things in my vicinity of where I write to be in order as best as it can be. So once my physical space is decluttered, I then now need to declutter my digital space, which actually I cleaned my desktop very recently. It is so easy for screenshots and random documents to just fill up my desktop, and now I have a clean digital space as well as a clean physical space. And with that, I feel like I can really get into the next part of my prepping process, which is to learn. The next part of my prepping process is learning. So I mentioned earlier that I have done this thing called the 60-day novel writing challenge. I've done it officially twice, and then I've rewatched the videos many times because there's just so many good nuggets of information that I can get from them, and it's in really short, digestible pieces. So I do watch those videos fairly frequently. And then I decided I wanted to create more work for myself and added more things to watch or research during this time prior to me writing draft 3. But it's all so nourishing for me, nourishing to my brain. I am in charge of my own learning at this point. I went to college, I went to high school, I went to college, and I never really liked learning, and I never liked being told what I should be learning. But now that I'm an adult, I'm out of college, and my time is more or less my own, I have found that I'm really, really loving absorbing everything I possibly can about writing good stories. I've been just I have never felt this passionate about learning something ever in my life. I went to school for videography, for film production, and that's something that is really fun and creative and that I enjoy. But I don't think I ever really connected with that as much as I do connect with writing. I created more work for myself. So I'm watching those 60-day novel writing challenge videos, as well as listening to the little companion podcast that goes with it. And then I'm watching YouTube videos, mainly from Herne, I believe is how you say his last name, because I just feel like he has just so much valuable advice to give about writing, especially fantasy novels. And he's a great author himself. And then I have these on writing and world building books by Timothy Hickson. So between the 60-day novel writing challenge videos, Herne's videos, and the on writing and world building books, I have created a document for myself to follow. I tried as best I could to have each of the videos I watch semi-relate to each other, semi-relate to the thing I'm reading. And what I'm doing is I'm watching each of those videos and / podcasts, taking notes on those, and then going through and reading a chapter from one of these 3 volumes of books and like really absorbing all of that information I can and thinking about how I can apply that to my current story. So like this is an insane amount of homework I've given myself, but I like it, you know? It's something that I've chosen to do for myself. That's the next stage of prepping, is getting back into the habit of consuming this content and taking notes on it and brainstorming ways that I can apply that to my current project. Now, the next thing I need to do to prep is getting all of my ideas in one place. So I don't know why I'm so late to the Scrivener game, but I feel like I've really missed out. All this time I've been writing and not using Scrivener. It's a little bit of a learning curve. But since I've written 2 drafts without Scrivener, I need to now like transfer all of my world building and brainstorming and character sheets and all this stuff into a Scrivener file. So I am slowly integrating all those things into one place. When I copy bullet points from Word and paste it into Scrivener, Scrivener doesn't like it, so I have to go through and reformat anything that I wrote in bullet point format, which is almost everything that I've written in brainstorming. I think it'll make my brain really happy to have all of my stuff about my book in one like file, essentially, instead of just having 10 different Word documents that I have to have open and in like different parts. Like I usually have 2 to 3 screens that I write on, so I can spread things out, but it'll be so much nicer for me to have it all in Scrivener. Yeah, so that's the next part of my prepping process, is getting all of my world building notes and character sheets and plots all in one place. So now that we've got our physical space decluttered, a digital space decluttered, we've got a nice plan for learning and implementing what we learn into our next draft, as well as having all of our book documents more or less condensed into one place. The next thing I want to talk about is how I'm preparing, like on a more physical level. Nutrition, whatever that means to you. Nutrition means so many different things to so many different people, but fueling your body during a creatively intense time is just as important as fueling your mind, you know? I want to make sure that I'm eating snacks when I'm hungry. I do want to meal prep. I'm kind of doing this thing right now where I don't sit down when I eat lunch, and I don't feel super great about that. Like, I think my meal times need to be a time where I sit down, I take a breath, I take a breather, I relax, I watch a show or a YouTube video, and I just like enjoy not doing anything responsible, you know? I've been making these burritos recently, but I still gotta cook the eggs, so that kind of takes some effort. And usually I have an hour of my lunch break after I've cooked the eggs and compiled the burrito. I feel like I'm like really rushed. So I feel like sitting down is going to take up too much time, which in reality doesn't take up that much time. But so I haven't been sitting when eating recently because I just feel too rushed to sit. So that's something I want to change about how I do meal times prior to starting my draft, because I think it'll be really good for my brain. And then meal prepping so that I always have something easily accessible. Thinking about what to eat does take up a lot of space in my brain all the time. It's really stressful and annoying. So if I can get myself in a good routine of meal prepping and having readily available snacks, I think that will set me up for a better writing situation, because then my brain isn't thinking about what are you gonna make for dinner tonight. Instead, I can think about what is Freya gonna do when she comes in contact with so-and-so. It was very vague. I didn't know where I was going with that analogy, but I think having meals prep will help my brain think better. That was good words. I'm a writer, clearly. And then along the physical lines as well, I'm a very active person. I enjoy working out and getting exercise. Not everyone is in that same boat, and that's fine. But I do really believe that any sort of physical movement can help unstick our brains. So when I was writing my first draft of this fantasy novel, anytime I even slightly encountered a writer's block or like a stick in a scene where I'm like, what would my character actually do in this situation? I would go for a walk. I would go for a run. I would go to the gym, and I would start like thinking these things through as my body's moving, and whatever was blocking that epiphany just got unstuck, and I would have an epiphany like exercising. There have been many times where I've been like lifting weights at the gym, and then in between sets I'm pulling out my phone and writing a ton of notes in my notes app about what I want to happen next in my book. So making sure that I stick to my current exercise routines and really nail in that these are like non-negotiable parts of my life prior to adding more things into my life, like writing, is another way that I am prepping for draft 3.
Your Beauty Angel session begins.
And here, this is the total body enhancement at the gym that I go to. It's like this big pod thing that you stand in, and it bathes you in red light, and the floor like vibrates, and it's supposed to like shake your body, and like allegedly it's supposed to help tone your and strengthen your muscles, while also like the red light's supposed to help your skin. I haven't found any like scientific backed evidence that either of these things are actually true, but I still do it because it's another way for me to intentionally slow down and relax. Like, it's a 10-minute little thing where I am standing there and I'm usually listening to a podcast and I'm not doing anything else. And so even if the science is a little iffy about whether or not my muscles are actually getting toned by the shaking plate or if red light is really helping my skin, but it does make me slow down and it does make me take a breather after like an intense workout. So I still do it. There's also some massage chairs at my gym, so I usually will do that after I do the total body enhancement. And yeah, that's like kind of my holistic physical approach to prepping for a big creative brain dump, if you will. This next thing that I'm doing to prep for writing my third draft is so silly and may seem super inconsequential, but also, if you are a writer watching this video, then you actually probably are going to really resonate with what I'm about to say. But I love candles. Okay, if you're a writer and you love candles, sound off in the comments. Tell me what your favorite candle scent is. If you just like the ambiance and don't care for the smell, tell me. I love candles. I love them so much. And I'm almost out of all of my favorite ones. So I need to go buy some more candles. It's this new candle that's like has CBD oil in it. And I don't know if there's even enough CBD oil in these candles to actually elicit any sort of like relaxation response, but they smell good. So I like, again, the science, I don't know if the science is there to prove that these things actually make me calm, but the smell is nice and that makes me happy. So I was going to get one of the ones that I've already had in the past because I know I love them. But then I discovered that another brand is making these CBD oil candles and they have some really good scents as well. So I decided to go with one that is new. Getting a new candle was definitely in order, and I will not use this candle until I start draft 3. So if I don't start draft 3 for another month, I'm gonna have to wait that whole time before I light that candle. That could maybe be some motivation for me to get my together and start draft 3 sooner rather than later. Which kind of brings me now to schedule. So because I'm not going to be doing Nano this year, I can really start my draft 3 whenever I want, and I don't need to write every single day. I was really struggling with how I was going to write on the weekends, because weekends I usually dedicate to getting chores done and working on my YouTube videos. So now I can just write during the week, take weekends off. So I don't know what my official schedule will be yet for starting draft 3. I do want to try to finish all of the learnings that I want to do before I start draft 3, but there's still a lot of content I need to get through. So I may need a compromise, get as much of this learning done as I can, and then just dive into draft 3, because I'm always going to be learning. I don't need to learn it all before I start draft 3. Maybe next video I can go into a little bit more detail of my process of coming up with the idea, writing draft 1, draft 2, and yeah, we're going on to draft 3. This is officially the furthest along I've gotten on a book. Draft 3. I've never written a draft 3 of a book before, so this is kind of exciting. This video was so different than anything I've made thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it still somewhat fits into other videos I've made, but I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing things at the wall right now to figure out what sticks the best and what I like making content for the best. So yeah, stay tuned for future videos and future writing vlogs. And let me know down in the comments what you're working on currently and what draft you're on, and maybe we can tackle a draft together. And until next time, I hope y'all have a lovely day. Oh, sweet helpful boy. Your tail's in the shot. Here's my needy boy. He has to be a part of everything that I do. So he's gonna be chilling in my lap. Check. His tail turned off the mic. Oh my god, his tail turned off the mic. Okay.